Hello, my name's Rosanna, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this leather bifold wallet complete with pockets inside for cash, coins and cards. It comes as part of a do-it-yourself leather craft kit that you can do at home and is part of a wide range of kits available on my website. Enjoy. You will need a metal ruler, a scalpel, marking pen, snippers or scissors, a pricking iron, a matte and scrap bit of leather, mallet, lighter or matches, a rotary hole punch, lacing pony and clamps, and an edge slicker and creaser if you have them, but these are not essential. You will need to print out the template from the PDF download, and I recommend cutting out the main parts and sticking them onto some thick card to help them last longer. Either using a glue stick like this or some spray mount the pieces onto some card and press firmly. Then using your metal ruler and scalpel, carefully cut the pieces out like so. You should end up with 4 pieces like this, but you need 5 cut out altogether. So now you need to decide if you want to make option 1 design or option 2. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you option 1. So you need to take your rotary hole punch and set to 2mm diameter setting, and take the template for the inside pocket and punch through the circles like so on each end of the double line. Then take your ruler and scalpel and carefully cut out the slither so that there is a gap between the 2 circles. This is so that credit cards can slot in easily and the thickness of the card is compensated for here. Now take the kit and the pre-cut leather strip from the kit and arrange your templates along this piece. Remember, you have 4 card templates but need 5 pieces of leather, and the number of each templates required in leather is indicated in the brackets on that card. So you need 2 of the rectangle shape and 1 of all the others, as shown here. So place the templates on the leather, making sure you've allowed enough space for 2 of this rectangle piece. And then take your pen and mark around the pieces. Here I am marking on the front of the leather with the marker pen. This pen rubs off easily, so it doesn't matter, but you might decide to mark on the back of the leather instead. Cutting out, now take your scalpel and ruler and cut down the middle of the silver lines between each piece. Make sure you press firmly down on the ruler so it doesn't slip and you get a clean cut. For the V-shaped pocket, take the ruler and cut from the centre outwards, so cutting with the line on the right side of the ruler. Then rotate the piece and cut with the line again on the right side of the ruler, but just underneath it, making sure you don't cross over in the middle and cut too far. Then take the left inside pocket and cut out the circles as you did with the template using the rotary hole punch. Then take the ruler and scalpel again to cut out the middle slither, but be very careful not to cut too far. So cut along and almost to the bottom circle like so, but not quite. Then turn around and cut from the circle inwards. This makes sure you don't cut through the circle at the end. And then do the same thing on the other side. Now take a tissue or cloth and dampen with some water and just clean off any of the silver pen marks left behind. If you did this on the back of the leather, then you won't need to clean off any marks. You now have all 5 pieces of your wallet ready to put together. So this one here, you see I've got 2 different pocket sections on the inside of the wallet, as you can see with this example. This is option 1. Option 2, which was shown at the beginning of the video, is where you have the same pocket on both sides of the inside of the wallet, as you can see. Now we need to start gluing the panels together. So take the right pocket and the outside and put to one side. Then take the left side pockets, laying one on top of the other, and take the glue and sandpaper from your kit. Using your marking pen, carefully mark where the front pocket meets the back pocket, like so. Then take the coarse sandpaper and fold it in half like so, and rub vigorously around the edge of the back pocket, making sure you don't go over the silver pen lines. Then repeat on the back of the front pocket, but because it's quite fluffy already, you don't need to press too hard. This creates a key for the glue to stick to. Then take the glue from your kit and the spatula and carefully apply a thin layer of glue around the edge where you've just scratched with the sandpaper. So all the way around the front panel like so, and then the same on the front of the back panel. It's important that you do a thin layer evenly around the edge so that there are no lumps. While the glue is drying to go tacky, you can burnish the top edge of the front pocket with the gum in the kit. This gives it a nice, smooth, polished edge. Using the gum and your finger, just dip your finger in and rub a little bit of the gum along the top edge so it's completely covered. This helps seal in any loose fibres. Then with the cloth, or if you have an edge slicker, carefully rub the top edge like so. As I say, this seals off the edge and just makes it nice and smooth and polished. By the time you've done that, the glue should be nice and clear, so it's ready to press the pieces together. So carefully press them together, making sure the edges are lined up. You may have to do a little bit of trimming, however, so take your ruler and scalpel and just slice off any pieces that aren't quite straight. But be careful not to cut off too much, otherwise your cards won't fit in your wallet. Next, take the gum again and polish the inside edge of your pocket like so. So applying the gum along the edge with your finger and then burnish with the cloth or an edge slicker if you have one. This shows the pockets need to be stitched together before the whole wallet can be assembled. So we need to stitch a line down the inside edge like so. If you have a creaser, this is a perfect tool, but if not, a ruler and awl work just as well. So measure 5 millimeters in from the edge of the ruler and taking your awl, press and crease a line into the edge of the leather. Then take your ruler and awl and join up these lines carefully. Make sure you leave a gap on the right end as shown, but not the left. Then take your matte and scrap bit of leather or thick piece of card, place these underneath your leather, and using a pricking iron, here I used a 6mm spaced iron, and using your mallet, start punching the holes. Start with the first hole just off the edge of the front pocket like so. Make sure your pricking iron has completely penetrated the leather and then carefully rock it back and forth to release. Use the last hole of the first set as the first hole of the second set, and then see if you need to make one more hole as I've done here. I've just moved it down one more to make a last hole in the bottom. Inspect to see that the holes have gone all the way through the leather, and then using your awl, just poke the awl through, and this just stretches the hole a little bit to make stitching a bit easier. Next, take the thread from your kit. You should have two lots of thread, and the shorter piece, which is about 60 centimetres long, needs to be used for this inside edge. Take the thread and the two needles, and first pick up one needle and thread through the end about 2 needle lengths. Then carefully on the mat, holding down the end, poke the needle through the thread. Pull the thread over the end of the needle like so, and this creates a loop. Pull down the short end and then pull the longer end to close the loop. This secures the needle on the thread so that when you're stitching it doesn't come off. And then repeat on the other end of the same piece of thread like so. For stitching, I use a lacing clamp and 2 clamps to hold it, one to hold to the table and one to hold it closed, but these are not essential. With your clamp set up, or if you hold it between your knees, first start in the bottom right hand corner, even up the threads and then go into the next hole along, pull through and then go back through the same hole with the other needle and pull tight like so. Continue all the way along till you get to the last hole. Once you've gone through the last hole like so, then you need to go back on yourself. So go back over the first thread and then back through with the second needle. So you've got double stitching on the last 2 stitches. Make sure you pull them both through to the back and then remove from the clamp and cut the threads about 2 or 3 millimeters short like this, and then melt down the ends with the lighter or matches, being very careful not to burn yourself. This seals the end of the thread nicely. Now collect the other pieces of the wallet, the other 2 pockets, because these now need to be glued together. As before, take the sandpaper and scratch around the front of the back pocket, carefully rubbing away the front layer of leather, and repeat on the back of the front of the pocket and apply glue as before. You will need to apply with a spatula a thin layer all the way round, about 1 centimetre in from the edge on both pieces, and then allow to dry. As drying, as before, take the front pocket and apply gum along the top edge and rub it smooth with the cloth or edge slicker if you have one, so it's nice and smooth. Then, once the glue has dried, put the pockets together firmly like so, making sure you keep the edges nice and neat. Press firmly and then trim off any rough edges. Then apply gum and burnish the top edge of the back pocket like so. This is the last one to do before the final burnishing at the end. Now take the wallet cover and place the pockets on the inside with the stitched one on the left, and carefully mark out where the pockets meet the inside edge of the leather, like this. Then taking the coarse sandpaper again, rub it around the edge of the front cover and the same around the edges of each pocket on the back side of the leather to help raise up the fibres to create a key for the glue. Apply the glue with the spatula as before, avoiding the gap between the two pockets, and leave to dry to go tacky. Once the glue has dried clear, take the pockets and make sure you put the correct one in the correct place, line it up with the edges and press down firmly. Once the pocket is in place, it's much harder to pull off and replace, so make sure you line it up as best you can. As you can see here, there's a gap at the top, but I will trim that down. It's best to have the gap at the top than the bottom because the stitching is closer to the bottom edge. So here you can see there's a bit of a gap at the top. So using the ruler and scalpel, I'm going to cut down that edge to remove that excess leather. When you're cutting here, just be careful because there's a change in level because of the number of layers of leather. So it can go a bit wobbly in the middle. So just press the ruler down in the middle to make sure you get a nice straight line like so. When you are happy that all the edges are nice and smooth and neat, you are going to mark out the lines for stitching like on this example, all the way around the wallet. So using your ruler and awl again, or crease it if you have one, measure 5 millimeters in from the edge and line this up with the edge of the wallet and put markers all the way around to create a border 5 millimeters in from the edge. Next, you want to join up these lines to create a solid border all the way around the inside of the edge of the wallet, making sure you don't go across at the corners. When you do the long edge, just be careful when you're going over the gap between the pockets, as this can dip and move. So just leave a gap. Now you're ready to punch the holes for stitching, so collect your mat and scrap piece of leather again, your pricking iron and your mallet. Start in a top corner, it doesn't really matter which one, but make sure you line up the first prong of the pricking iron with the corner and then work your way along. You will have to press quite firmly with the mallet to make sure you penetrate all the layers of leather. When you get close to the bottom, you might need to start the next hole going down along the next edge, as shown here. When you get to the end of the next line of holes, you may need to start the following line slightly lower down to allow for even stitching. Once you've finished punching all the holes, take the awl again and just go through each hole a little bit like so to stretch the holes open. This is particularly important on the thicker bits of leather to help the needles go through more easily. Next, take the longer piece of thread from the kit, thread each end onto the two needles as before. This thread is much longer than the previous one, so you can pull it through slightly longer than before. Now set up your clamp again and place your wallet in the clamp with the bottom left-hand corner at the top. So you're stitching along the bottom edge first. Take your needles and thread and start in the corner closest to you, carefully pulling through one needle and evening up the lengths of thread. It will be very long, so be careful not to get them tangled. Then work your way along as you did before, pulling the thread halfway through and then going back through with the other needle and then pulling it tight, making sure you don't catch the thread. When you get to the middle section here, make sure you don't pull the threads too tight because this can gather the leather as it's one single layer of leather. When you get to the end of a line, put down the needles and rotate the piece in the clamp so you're always stitching along the top edge. When you finally get to the end, so you're making a complete loop with your stitching, take the last stitch and then reverse again through the previous stitch you just made and repeat again for the next stitch along, like you did with the inside pocket. Make sure both threads are on the back or inside of the wallet and then snip again, making the pieces about 2 or 3 millimeters long, like so. And then with the lighter or matches, melt these down again and taking care not to burn yourself. Your wallet is almost finished, all the stitching is done, and now you have the option of rounding off the corners. You don't need to do this, but I think it's a nice way to finish off the wallet. Take the corner template from the kit and place it over one of the corners so that both the edges line up like this, and cut down with your scalpel in a downward motion in small increments. Repeat for each corner. Once you've done this and are happy with the corners, take the fine sandpaper from the kit provided and rub this along the edges of your wallet. This smooths down all the edges and the corners so you have an even finish edge. Finally, take the gum and apply this all the way around the edge of your wallet with your finger, like so, making sure it's fully penetrated all the way around the edge. If in doubt, go round again. You can never use too much gum. Once you've gone all the way round, use the cloth provided, or again an edge slicker if you have one, and rub vigorously till you get a nice smooth shiny finish. Remember, this only really works with vegetable tanned leather, not chrome leather. The leather provided in the kit is vegetable tanned, so you should get a nice shiny finish to the edge. Then test your wallet with some cards and cash and you're good to go. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.